Hello, everybody, and happy Friday, and welcome to episode number 27 of the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Ritz, alongside this guy,
Special Eddie.
And we are here with you virtually today. We're making it happen. We weren't able to get together in person because of the rainy weather. But Edmund, how you doing today, man?
Bro, I'm good. I can't complain. I'm going to go on vacation with the Replacer University fam.
Vacation?
Yeah, we do a company trip usually every year. This year we're going to Destin, Florida. And me, Michael, Matt, Derek, our families, we're going to spend the next 7 days and just try to relax. Obviously, we'll probably get some work in, brainstorm some new ideas on some direction that Replacer University might be going. It's all good stuff, man.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting, man. I'm pumped for you. And I heard that you guys might be eating some Reapers.
Yes, the gentlemen they want me to stop by your house and grab Reapers so I can stuff them in a suitcase and
all right,
bring them down to Florida. Let's see how that goes.
Well, I got a jar just for you with your name on it and for the fellows. So I will hook you up there. But we are super excited to be with you here today. In today's episode, we're going to talk about when to know to end the chapter on a part of your life, or when to close the book, when it's time to move on and move into that new territory, that new arena that's been calling you. And maybe you don't know it, but there are signs along the way. And, Edmund and I have been talking about this recently, some changes that we're experiencing, currently going through in our lives, different levels. And we're going to share that with all of you today. But before we jump into that, it used to be the Furious 3, now it's the Thankful 3, and I think I'm up, man.
Yes, you are, sir. So go ahead, brother, give it to me. Three things. Right. What are three things you're thankful for?
Three things. So number one, the Steelers have pulled out 2 consecutive victories. So
here we go with the Steelers.
So definitely happy there. Nothing is broken in my house. Although I've calmed down a bit. I've calmed down.
Yeah.
I don't think that crazy anymore.
Yeah, so, I remember when your wife used to tell me about the holes you used to punch in the wall, the doors you used to rip off.
Never happened. Never happened. That's not a true story.
Let's get your wife on here and find out.
So that would be number one. Number two would be just the change of the seasons. It's fall, and you know what? Actually, let me switch it up. Last weekend, I was able to celebrate my mom's 70th birthday up in Hershey, PA. It was phenomenal. My brother and his family were there, and just had a great time being with family. And I'll say this: if you haven't been to Hershey, Pennsylvania, go check it out, man. It's beautiful. These people take the utmost care of that community, of the park, of the hotel. So that was pretty special. And then I'll close with, man, just the students and members of Replace Your Dollar. Just grateful for the connection, the relationship that I have with all of them. And, there have been a lot of successes from them recently. So getting texts about like their first $1,000 trade or 8 winning days in a row, that makes me feel good. That's that teacher in me. So lots to be grateful for, man. So that's what I got for you this Friday.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right.
Brother, well, let's kick it off. How do you close the chapter?
How do you
in your life?
Yeah, how do you do it, man? How do you close it?
Honestly,
when to close it.
I actually have a pretty simple answer, and it's not that complicated for folks. It's when you've tried absolutely everything in your power to do whatever you need to do to keep that book open or keep that chapter open. And if you've tried everything and it still seems like that book or that chapter wants to close, you know what? Do this. Close that big boy and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you and I both have certain things, really over the course of our lives, we've had things where we've closed the book on. We talked before about leaving behind the W-2 world, and we've been there before. We talked about that, but I guess just some more recent relevant things. For me, it's not going to sound like anything monumental or big, but, since I was around 28 years old, that's when I ran my first marathon, and I've done a ton of distance running since then, ultra marathon distances. And, did the calendar club this past January. And I kind of got to a point, I was signed up for a 50-mile race coming up this November. And I was telling Edmund, I'm just like, I'm over this. I'm done with this shit.
I
Like,
I was like, I don't know why you're doing it to begin with,
yeah,
but but you do love running. You've
I
always loved
do
running.
love,
Like
I do love
it,
it.
yeah, like my boy Chris Robinette and Nate Bailey, like those guys just ran 100 miles, right? It was in
Yeah,
Miami. And like, I do difficult things, right? I mean, that's
right.
definitely something that's difficult, but I'd be happy if I could get 5 or 10 in,
Yeah, but
let alone 50.
right. But it's like, you get to the point where, I've done, I think, over 15 marathons, over 5 ultra marathon distances. And you get to the point that the time that you take to train for it, it's great. I love pushing myself and testing myself. But it's like, you know what? I've been doing the same types of challenges since 28. I'm 42.
Mm-hmm.
I need some change in the stimulus. And, we were talking about how I am embracing my inner bigness because
Yeah, there you go.
I'm about 6'4". I used to be like 250, 260 back in the day. And with running, like I was light. Like I think my latest is down to like 185. And people would always say, like, you're too skinny, you're too skinny. And it was all from the running. And
Yeah.
again, I think that served the purpose there at that point in time. And I'm still gonna run, obviously, but it's time for a change. It's time for a shift. Like that can still be a part of my life, but it doesn't have to be 6 days a week. I'm running, I'm regimented, I'm training for this race, and this race. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for a new experience. I'm ready for a change and something that's going to excite me, invigorate me. And the signs are there. It would be one thing if I've never done any of these types of runs and races or challenges before, because that would just be quitting.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the calendar club should have been it, bro. I mean, the
Yeah.
calendar club, that was insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's like just talking about when to know when to close the book. If you've, like Edmund was saying, if you've tried and you've done everything and you've been getting after it, you're putting everything into it, but it just doesn't feel right or
Yeah.
aligned with who you are, it's
It doesn't,
to
if it
move on.
doesn't make you, yeah, if it doesn't make you happy anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like we all go through change throughout our life, probably every 5 to 10 years. And we got to decide, is this stimulus or whatever, is it still giving me, the same response? Is it still giving me the same happiness that I used to enjoy? And as you go through life, and if the answer is no, there's going to be 1,000,001 signs that are going to literally land in your lap that are going to tell you, it might be time for a change.
Yeah.
And some of these things might be difficult to try to change, right? I mean, it could be relationships, it could be, your job, it could be any number of things. But the question is like, how do you know, right? Like, how do you know? And I think I mentioned it earlier is, okay, if this, job or relationship or whatever is being put to the test to see whether or not this is something you want to continue, like running is being put to the test right now for you. If you give it 110%, and at the end of the day, you're like, nah, just not feeling it, then it's time to make whatever changes are necessary, my friend.
Yeah. And it's like, I think back to, whenever leaving behind education and my career in the education field, it's kind of the same thing. I kept trying to reinvent myself and rededicate myself and thrust myself into it. But it just, that connection wasn't there anymore. And that lack of alignment, not feeling like I was in my element, even though I was trying. And I think that's the key thing, the difference between, because this is where I struggle with a little bit of guilt with the running piece.
Yeah.
Like, am I just being a quitter and lazy? Or is this really a decision that I need to make? And I think that's where some people might get hung up. And the way that you can answer that question is, like you said, have you done everything that you can to find that answer?
Yeah.
And I think you're able to be at peace if you have.
Yep. Absolutely. Here comes my son.
All right, we got a cameo. That's our first cameo.
Come here, bro. Come here. Come here. Hey, you know what he just did? He just snuck in and he put coins in my pocket. That's a good sign.
Go.
That's a good
Money.
sign. Say hello. He's adorable,
Wow.
this kid. He
That's
just
awesome.
sneaks in. He just sneaks in and puts money in his pocket. So here, this is a pretty cool entrepreneur story for those out there. he likes to build these little not virtual, but these little like makeshift stores out of like the cushions and stuff. And then he'll go get a bunch of food from the cabinet and he'll bring it in. And then I'll go upstairs and grab a bunch of change, and then I'll put it in my pocket or my wife's pocket and be like, okay, come to my store. It's time to come, buy some food. And I'm just like, I love it. The kid is 4 years old and he's already thinking about business.
That's awesome.
Right?
Like father, like son. Like father,
Yeah,
like
right.
son.
I've always thought about business even when I was younger, but I thought you had to go to college and go get your degree and then become a professional. That was what I thought was the norm. And then it wasn't until I met a new group of people that lived their entire life as an entrepreneur. And like you said, like, when do you know when something's done? I mean, I got up one morning, I looked in the mirror and I'm just like, I'm not feeling the same way that I used to feel. Like, I love the kids, but I'm just not feeling the same way. Like, I've been putting on this shirt and tie for the last 15 years and it's just not doing it for me anymore. And, like, I decided, like, are you going to go the principal route? Will that help? All of that. And it was just like, nah, I need a change in my life. I need something new.
Yeah.
And was it a risk? Absolutely. Right. Could I have lost everything? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I took the risk. And, the best thing I could tell you guys to do is like find the people that are doing what you want to do in life and follow them. And that's when I found Michael and these guys. And it's just like, look, they know what it's like to be an entrepreneur. That's what I want to do. Let me link up with them and learn what they know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
that's what me and you were here for too. For all of you guys out there that need some possible, I don't know, life coaching or just someone to talk to that's had to make tough decisions. Like, bro, like, reach out to myself, reach out to Jeremy. Like, we'll help you.
Yeah.
Right. We love giving back to people and kind of sharing our experiences. So that way, we can better help people.
That's the teacher.
Friends. Yeah, that's the teacher in us, right? That's the friends, family, doesn't matter.
Yep. And one of the benefits of closing the book, right, ending that chapter, is that you now get to start writing your new book, or you're adding that new chapter to your life. And here's really what you risk by not closing that chapter, ending that book, is you can keep yourself stuck in a situation to where you're supposed to be living this life over here, but you've got to make that uncomfortable decision to say, you know what, this just isn't right anymore. And that story that you're about to write, or that the universe is pulling you to say, hey, you need to write this story. You don't want to miss out on that, because that could be the greatest tale ever told.
Absolutely. That man couldn't put that any better. I mean, honestly, it's part of the reason why I quit drinking. Many of you know, I think at this point, it's been over 100 days. I decided, I was kind of having this transition going on in my life where I'm like, okay, everything's, business is great. You got good friendships, you got good business partners, you're a great dad, whatever areas can you improve on? And I'm like, I might not know what those areas are until I have a crystal clear mind. And the only way for me to get that crystal clear mind, because I knew like something internally was tugging at me and was just telling me, like, you got to quit drinking for a little while, right? Like, give yourself a year. My buddy Vito said, give yourself a year. Like, the liquor stores are always open. At the end of the year, if nothing changes, go ahead, go do what you got to do. But give yourself a year of, absolutely no alcohol, and just focus on yourself and focus on your family and find out what it is. And one of the things that popped up was like, okay, like, man, like, bro, you're a great dad. You're killing it in business. You're a good friend. I had to take a close look at my relationship with my wife. Right. And I was like, and this isn't going to be easy to say, but I was like, am I being the best husband that I could possibly be for my wife? And I'll be flat out honest. The answer was no. And I wasn't. And I'm just like, okay, there are some things that I need to work on. And, the only way to be able to do it was to get mental clarity. And then here's the other thing. Mental clarity, it's great. But things are going to pop up that you're like, I had no idea that that even existed. I had no idea that I felt this way. I had no idea that I was doing this. I had no idea that, she may have felt this way. Or it was an absolute like game changer. Like it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then the hardest part is straight up looking in the mirror and saying, what did you do? Right? How were you acting? How were you behaving? What were your behaviors that may to have led, maybe your wife to feel this way? Or, stop blaming everyone else around you, or stop blaming other people's actions. Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
And bro, you want to talk about an eye-opening experience? Like, look at yourself in the mirror and like accept responsibility for your actions, your behaviors, things you may have said, things you may have done, all of that. And once you do that, you can fix it.
Yeah.
Right. But you can't fix it if you don't recognize it. You can't fix it if you don't accept responsibility. You can't fix it if you don't sit and listen to the people around you on how you may have made them feel with things you've said or things you've done, like that sort of stuff. Like, and that is, it's very emotional. It's an emotional experience to go through, but it is also so very powerful, because what it has done is it's allowed me to seek out the people in my life that are great men, that are great husbands, right? Find the people that are doing what you want to do and learn from them, bro. Like we talk about this all the time. I talk to you, Jeremy Newsom, Michael Lush, all those guys. Like, I know they're all great people, and I know they're all great husbands and they're great fathers. And I'm just like, okay, maybe the men in my life that I've, had to live with, and with the exception of my stepfather, like maybe they weren't the right role models. Maybe maybe my dad wasn't the right role model, or maybe, the other people's fathers that I was around growing up weren't the right role models. And I just knew, like, I have to take things to that next level in my relationship, or even, just as a husband, period.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And as a man, honestly.
Yeah.
And just take it to that next level. Like I want to be like the highest version of myself possible.
Yeah.
Whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in, being a father, all that. So sometimes you got to get that mental clarity. So I knew, that just things kept falling in my lap, and it said, Edmund, it's time to shut the door with drinking, right? Shut the door, close the chapter for now, and figure out what's really happening in your life, and go get that mental clarity. And all kinds of things have just fell in my lap. And like I said, man, the things that fell in my lap weren't easy.
Yeah.
I thought things were good in a lot of areas, and they just weren't. And then that's when change starts to happen. Mm-hmm. And you get uncomfortable, man. You get uncomfortable quick, but that's how you grow. Right? My boy Vito says all the time, like, the only way you can grow is by being uncomfortable. And let me tell you how uncomfortable I've been sitting in this house, like bored out of my mind. Like, oh my God, like just sit with yourself and your thoughts. Bro, that is not easy.
For the extreme extrovert that you
are.
Yeah,
the extrovert that I am, man. Like, I need to be out. I need to be around people. So I'm like, okay, so one thing I need to work on is being alone.
Yeah.
Being alone with your thoughts. How can you be happy internally just by being by yourself? And like, I still don't have answers to that, right? Like, there's things I'm still working on, but it's just like, holy shit. Like, that's an eye opener. Like, have you ever really been alone in your life? No. I've always had someone stuck up my ass. Now I got you stuck up my
ass. That's powerful stuff. The honesty, the transparency there is, that's beautiful. And I think that's one of the key things too. When we're talking about closing the book, ending that chapter, you got to be brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like you said, look in the mirror and just be like, take stock, be honest. Is this right for me?
Yeah.
Is this helping me get to where I want to go? And like the decision that you made with drinking, which I just think is phenomenal. 100 days, man. Like, good on you, dude. That is awesome. But you knew that you had to take that step to be able to evaluate yourself clearly, to then make the changes and adjustments in your life. I mean, that's remarkable, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I kept coming back. People say the definition of his insanity is keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And like I knew, like I was like, okay, why do I keep expecting like things to change when like I don't have the mental clarity that I need to be able to really evaluate the situation, right? Or situations, right? It's not just, one thing. I want my life to to take off in at different levels in all different areas, not just my relationship, right? So it's internally what you might need to do. It's not going to be easy. You just got to do it, and you got to stick with it, and then you'll start to things will fall in your lap, and the universe will just kind of map out a plan for you. All right, what's next? What's next? All right, you really want this to change, you need to go do this. You really want that to change, you need to go seek this person out. You really want this to change, you need to go try these things.
Yeah.
And until you have that mental clarity, man, like it you could just go through life in a fog and not even realize it. Because I tell you what, I didn't. I had no clue. I thought everything was perfect in my life. Nope.
Wow. Powerful stuff, man. And I think
Yep.
what you said there is a good way to kind of put a bow on this conversation is listen to that voice that's there, that keeps coming back, telling you that, hey, this is what you need to do. We all have it, but we're afraid to listen to it. And like you said about, doing
Because
this.
we don't know what it is, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't know what it is. Like we're talking to ourselves and we sound like we start to think we're freaking crazy, but everyone does it. And the more people you talk to about this and the more people you reach, they're like, yes, I hear that voice all the time. Start listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Trust your instinct, trust that inner voice. And that's what it takes to really take that next step in your life, to figure it out where it is that you need to grow. Great stuff, man. That was I really appreciate you sharing that. I think that's going to help a lot of our listeners and
Yeah, gotta be vulnerable. A lot of the time, we grow up as men like, oh, you can't, don't be vulnerable, don't show emotions, hold in love, all that stuff. And days are over with,
yeah.
right? Like Jeremy Newsom says all the time, right? You want to heal the world, heal the men.
Yeah.
And just, allow them to be vulnerable so they can take things to the next level. Because when the man takes things to the next level, everybody around them benefits, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like their wife, their children, their friends, their family, just like everybody benefits from it. Now, I'm not saying like, same thing doesn't happen for women. It does. But it's just something about when, the man takes that role and digs deep, comes vulnerable, accepts responsibility, makes the changes, and leads by example.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. Everyone around you benefits.
Awesome. Well, I definitely think our viewers are going to benefit from that conversation here today. Great stuff. As we wrap this up, what's going on with Replace Your Employer? Anything you want to give a shout out to?
Yes. So we have some really cool things coming up for Replace Your Employer. So my first thing is the boot camp. October 9th through the 12th, we are going to be doing a boot camp on commercial real estate. Okay. It's something I haven't necessarily done yet, but my business partner, Nate Lambert, and his beautiful wife, Becky, they have crushed it in commercial real estate. It is something that I think it's now time for me. Talk about clarity, right? I've been doing these residential homes this whole time. It's time for me to kind of possibly focus on commercial real estate, see if I get excited about it. So I'm going to be learning something in our boot camp coming October 9th. If you're in the Replace Your University family, you'll get an email to be able to register. I will get the link over to Jeremy. Jeremy can drop that link in here to also register. But yeah, it's going to be a great experience. And then we have a lot of new changes coming up for Replace Your Employer for 2024. Some really cool shifts happening so we can help more people, right? Learn, make it more affordable, help more people that really been interested in wanting to get involved in real estate. So that's up and coming. We're working on that. That's what I'll spend a lot of time doing over the next couple months. But yeah, till then,
Awesome, man.
I get
Yeah. Yep. And replace your dollar. We just wrapped up our boot camp 3.0. We're going to be sharing those videos with everybody on the daily, Monday through Thursday. Next week, we'll be releasing one video at a time for those of you who weren't able to participate. So check that out. And if you've ever wanted to learn how to trade the stock market consistently, profitably, successfully, click the discovery link down in the show notes and let's chat. Let me help change your life through the markets. If you want real estate, you go to this guy. How to trade, let me know. But that's going to do it, man. Hey, I hope you have a great vacation.
I definitely will. I definitely will. And I'll behave. I already like, for those of you out there that are like, on the fence, whether or not like you're going to drink or not drink, or whether or not you want to stop drinking, that sort of thing. It's really not that hard, man. Just make the decision and just stick with it. And like for things like events like this, I got a plan in place, right? I got things mapped out.
Yeah.
And I got a supportive group of men that admire and appreciate what I'm doing. They're actually doing it. I think Michael's probably close to 100 days now. Michael's like, Michael's like, yeah, I'm loving it. He's like, yo, bro, don't cave. I'm like, I'm not caving.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, I'm sure you guys are going to have a great time. Make sure that you share this with your family and friends, comment, and
smash the subscribe button.
Yeah, you almost forgot, man. Come
on. I almost forgot.
And we will see you back here for episode number 28 of the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. Take care, everybody.